Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to a brand new video here today, and we're discussing my big hopes for F1 2022, this year's new Formula 1 game. Of course, it's a very big year for Formula 1 anyway, in real life, of course. We've got, brand spanking new cars with big ground effect, a lot more simplified, potential of a lot better racing, and with that also, obviously the amazing new grids, some fantastically exciting driver transfers for the real life season, but with that comes a lot of excitement and buzz for the new game, and it coincides with a lot of new things for Codemasters and EA in this new era of Formula 1 games, because this year's game, F1 2022, will be the first full game where EA has influence and resides over Codemasters as a studio. Last year's game, that was pretty much already foundationally made before EA bought Codemasters as a studio, so the only thing you saw different was really from my side as a creator, the way EA handled the marketing, the trailers we saw, the way they handled creators and what we could show you guys on YouTube. Whereas on this year's game, they can actually have a say and input maybe on the budget, the resources going into making this year's F1 game. Whereas last year, pretty much most of the big foundational building blocks of F1 2021 were already made by Cody's pre-EA buying them. And also at the same time, last year's game, F1 2021, that was made on the same exact Ego engine that Codemasters develop and have had for the last couple of games, basically. You could tell very much so, because even though the graphic fidelity did step up a notch even further with the ray tracing available on PC and obviously the faster loading times on the new next-gen consoles, you could still see the similarities to F1 2020, whereas maybe, we don't know yet, but I'm kind of hoping, and that's one of my big hopes, is this year's game, that they have a new Ego engine, that Cody's have developed a brand new engine to take them into the next gen, or could we see, have they floated the idea, have EA floated the idea to change to move to an EA engine that EA use for their other games, their other sports titles, their other kind of, first-person shooter titles? We don't know yet. We haven't really heard much news. It sounded like, though, and I would probably guess more likely that Codemaster will stick to making their own engine, because obviously it's a very specific engine that only Codemasters use for all their racing titles, be it F1, Grid, everything. It all works off the engine they make, which is the Ego engine. But whether they make a new engine for the game for this year, for next gen onwards, for the next couple of F1 titles, that's, one of the big hopes I have, is I hope that we do see that, when we moved from F1 2014 to 15, and although 2015 was an iffy game, visually you could see, oh my god, it looks so much better, so brand spanking new. This is next gen at the time. I'm hoping we get that same feeling going into this year's game, come July or whatever, whenever the game comes out, that we get like a, whoa, this is the next gen now for F1 games, hopefully. So we've got a lot of floating variables there for what could, groundbreakingly change for this year's Formula 1 game. But the rest of this video, I'm also going to be talking about my kind of hopes for what the details of the game will be, like the actual, actual details of like my team, for example. And let me know what you guys make of them and your own kind of hopes for where you think a next gen F1 game should now be aiming to go with things like career mode, my team, even just finer details like the cars themselves or the handling or whatever. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But I'm going to kick things off then with my first big hope when it comes to, obviously, my team career mode. Obviously, as you guys know, on my channel, I'm a big career mode player. It's my bread and butter. I will never not love playing career mode. So most of my ideas are going to be for career mode and things related to that. But there are a few things at the end of the video that I will specify in general for the F1 game. But obviously, I think I'm not going to mention things like handling and whatnot. They always look to improve that, and it always changes every year. So I think it's a given that it will change in some kind of regard, obviously. So I'm just going to go and basing off things that we don't really know and we can't guarantee right now. So starting off with things in my team career mode, a big thing of the game is R&D, and I really want to see a whole new R&D system maybe explored for the new cars. Maybe we have a section that is all about the ground effect tunnels that are going to be underneath these new cars, talking about the ability to, view icons as well and kind of have a better UI, because we used to have an R&D tree, then they moved to what I will admit is a really nice looking array of icons, but I want to be able to see the tree still, because I felt like it gave you a good overview. Visually, the columns they've got now are really nice to look at, but a big overview of a tree would be really great as well. So what if you're on this screen and then you clicked a button to zoom out, and you zoomed out from these icons and they're all part of a tree that was still there, like the old R&D tree of F1 2017 to 2019. I think that would be really awesome to have best of both worlds. Why not? And then also, I've been banging on about it for a while now, but for my team career mode with the FOM car, I think when you switch engine suppliers, in the same way where if you play driver career mode and you switch F1 teams, official F1 teams, you get a different looking tree, or you get a different set of R&D goals to achieve. I think with my team, when you change engine suppliers, so if you go from Mercedes to Honda, the actual icons you see, the array of R&D is changed. And what I would also really like to see potentially is when we get R&D regulation changes, that doesn't only reset the R&D you've purchased, it actually just changes the tree a little bit, or the array of icons, the array of R&D. And maybe there's like, 5 presets Cody's have in the background at the bottom of the game, in the back end, basically, in the database. And basically the game sees there's an R&D regulation change and swaps it out, and swaps out with another preset of a way it could look. And so we get a bit of difference, every 2-3 seasons when you get regulation changes, essentially. Another big thing is customization, of course. We're all hoping that the next gen comes with it some new next gen systems of customizing our My Team car. Even just customizing helmets for, online play, the esports drivers and leagues and everything. It's not just for career mode. Customization of the helmet, having shapes and stuff, not having real sponsors, because we know F1, we know how the red tape was. It took us so long just to get bloody driver transfers. So I know the red tape's there, but I'm talking about just even moving the fake sponsors, having a 3D shape of the helmet, and then allowing us to move the sponsor anywhere on the helmet. The same with the car. Allow us to move the fake sponsors around, change the shapes of the liveries around if we want to, instead of just 3 base colors that we can choose from, maybe sometimes 4, depending on the livery you choose, from the options that are available. But having so much more customization, especially with this year's crop of cars, so exciting. Such a fun new shape of F1 car. You've got LED lights as well on the wheel covers. You've got wheel cover colors themselves that could be different. Could we try and customize those potentially? And on the same line as customization, I think I want to see the HQ facilities part of the game developed even more. From F1 2020 to 2021, it was pretty much the same system, to be expected. This year's game, it's still a fantastic game. I've really enjoyed it so far in the game cycle, but you can tell it's a transition year, like it kind of was from 2014 to 15 in terms of not much happening, because obviously 2020 was massive. We got this massive new game mode, and then it was pretty much near enough the same sort of thing in 2021. A few little additions here and there. You can see they focused on the story mode also quite a lot, but I want to see that developed a lot more. The HQ, I'm thinking, think of like Motorsport Manager. Like you have a little 3D map of your factory, your HQ facility, and you can plonk buildings on your map to build a new wind tunnel over here. You've got the HR department, the aero department, all the different things that come with F1 Factory. You can customize the way it looks, and you build out your HQ facility as the team boss and team principal. You go ahead, let's have more detail on the staff, hiring staff, like not all the staff, not like all thousands of staff that are involved, but I'm talking like the head of aero. Can we sign the head of aero, head of chassis, head of engine durability? And then, that can speed things up if you sign a really good one, or you can poach like Adrian Newey or someone from Red Bull and sign them, and then vice versa though, the AI could poach from you. So you could have signed someone amazing, but then in like a season and a half time, Red Bull just poaches your new like durability guy, or Ferrari nicks your new engine guy, and you're stuffed, and you have to try and sign someone new. Like, there's a load of different possibilities to make this so exciting, and I'm getting so hyped up myself, because can you imagine if that was a thing? Like, it would be so intricate. There'd be so much stuff to do outside of races. It'd be insane. I mentioned AI doing things and like poaching, staff from your team. I just want to see AI teams doing more between races, and I want to hear about it. I want to bring back the news snippets, but the news specifically tells me about actual tangible upgrades the AI have made, because at the moment we kind of just guess based off the R&D chart what the AI have upgraded basically race to race, and you know, we don't even know what their HQ facility levels are. Like in my career mode right now, season 5, I'm really curious to see if Williams, you know, they're a top team now, do they have level 3 on, you know, the engine, you know, facility or not? I mean, I would love to see what the AI do. We've been told by Cody's that they actually do the simulation in the background, but I'd love for it to be presented in a menu that I can actually see. And so, you know, for creators like myself, we can show you guys in videos, and even for you guys at home, you can be interested in what they're doing. You can maybe try and copy, like, oh, okay, we're in a battle with Alfa Romeo in the championship for like P8. They've just upgraded their engine facility. Let's match them. If they're going to try and boost their engine, we need to counteract and also match them, because otherwise we're going to be left in the dust when it comes to like the Italian Grand Prix down the road in the season or whatever. I think in general, customization is just a big buzzword that we say every year, but it kind of goes for everything. Even the calendar. I want to be able to do more than just 10, 16, or 22 races. I want actual choice of the order of the calendar, or at least more options of, you know, can I do 18 races or 20 in the middle, or, you know, 12, you know, 14 specifically. Just give us more options in the menus. It's the same thing with, like we've said, AI failures and player failures. Great to see that we can now have engine faults. I want to see more options of just like, you know, extreme engine faults, normal engine faults, you know, basic, and then it gives options for casual players and more, you know, experienced players to fully experience career mode what they want to do. Another big hope that comes with the next gen is all new AI. The step up of AI from F1 2014 to 15 was biblical. It was massive. The AI was so much better in F1 2015 from 2014 because of that next gen leap, and then we steadily see them improve every year, despite what people like to bang on, oh, they're so bad, blah, blah. You're lying to yourselves. Every year, you've got to admit it, every year the AI get better at racing us in career mode. It's a fact. They're still dumb, don't get me wrong. There's still so many places where they're dumb, but they've got so much better every year. And so I'm hoping this will be a big leap like we saw in 2014 to 15, where maybe now the AI, you know, they could try and train them in the background and, you know, use the horsepower of the next gen to, you know, maybe allow them to learn that, oh, we're going to double stack. I'm not going to pit this lap. I'm going to pit another lap. You know, the same thing with like getting out the way, maybe. You know, is there a system where I can say, teammate, give me a tow in qualifying, or teammate, get out the way in the race because I'm on a better race strategy, or base like that, and just having even cleverer AI basically. I'm hoping that's something we also see into the next gen. Maybe not immediately, you know, straight away on this year's game, you know, with some of those big ideas that I've had about, you know, switching strategies and whatnot. But, you know, eventually I want to see those in the pipeline, because you'd like to hope the AI tech can improve and improve every single year, like it has done, you know, over the last couple of years in the F1 game. Obviously, I'm expecting, like I said, graphics. If they do move to a new engine, I'm expecting big things. Of visually, it's going to look very, very different. And with that, I just want to, I mean, we've had the same sort of menu system in 2020 to 2021. Obviously, I know the layout changed. Like now we've got these squares that you kind of move about, and it's a bit more intuitive. But the My Team career mode menus, like literally, are the same as last year's game. So I want to see those all new AI, new vistas. You know, we see those vistas for the you know, the wind tunnel and whatnot. I want to see all of those be new, hopefully. I'm hoping they would. If they're actually the same for the third year in a row, that's really, really poor on their part. So I expect them to be different, but I don't know, I'm just kind of picturing it in my head. I've got some really cool, like, you know, ideas in my head of what they could maybe look like. So, yeah, you know, obviously those will you'd hope would come with next-gen stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, exciting things that I hope will change with the new F1 game this year. There's a lot of reason to think that they will change, but let me know your thoughts. What are your big hopes for what you'll see on this year's game? But guys, if you did enjoy this video and kind of got excited yourself, maybe, you know, listening to me waffle on about these things, then hit the like button. You know, hopefully you can tell, you know, I always feel like I do give off the sense that I am genuinely so gassed every year about the new F1 game, and I always am, because I love F1, I love the game, I love playing career mode, I love making career mode for you guys, and it's why I get excited about the new game every year, no matter what's happened with the old game, because it's a new slate. There's a clean slate. There's new things to learn about, and I can't wait to the point of the year where we start to hear more about that new game. But guys, that's been it for today. If you have enjoyed it, like I said, hit that like button again. If you're on your round here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.